Yesterday, I told a really personal story about how I was considering divorcing my husband after being together for 16 years because our marriage felt unfair, specifically when it came to the work required to manage a home and raise kids and the mental load. And this is obviously a very common question I get, which is, what do we do to fix the situation? And so I will tell you. First and foremost, not all of our conversations around this were graceful. Sometimes it was a fight about the dishwasher, and ultimately those fights never resulted in any productive change, like ever. The thing that really helped us was we came together one day and I said to him, like, I'm incredibly unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy anymore. And he came to me and told me how he was feeling, which was like he was feeling a lot of shame and embarrassment and frustration. And I was feeling alone and isolated, and I felt like a failure. And so we came together and we said, okay, what do we want ultimately? We want the marriage we had 3 years ago. We want to be happy and healthy and thriving. We want our home to function well. We don't want me to be doing everything, and he doesn't want to feel like I'm constantly yelling at him. And so what do? How do we change this dynamic? I think first and foremost, we had to get on the same page about what our goal was. What are we trying to do here? Ultimately, we needed to share the work more equally or in an equitable way. So it's never 50-50. It just can't be in life, but it's much more fair than it was. And then we had to talk about how to do it. So I think we had to really break down how we got here, like why did we end up here? And ultimately, it's not just our faults as a couple. Like, there's obviously things we both could have done differently, but we live in a society that tells men and women who they should be and tells us what to prioritize and what it looks like to be a good dad and a good mom. And we live in a system that essentially places this burden on women from the get-go, the mental load of it all. We don't have paid leave or affordable childcare or any of those things, and those disproportionately impact women. And that came into play in our relationship as well. And so we talked about those things, but ultimately we came up with a plan. The first thing we did was Fair Play, which is a game by Eve Rodsky, but she also has a book. That was our jumping off point. It's definitely not where we stopped. I think it is a really great tool for sharing the work. So essentially you get a deck of cards, or I've created a spreadsheet, which you can get. And in the spreadsheet, it basically lists all the tasks in your house: laundry, cooking, cleaning, buying birthday presents, all of those things. And in my spreadsheet, it says like who owns it, me or him. We have what it was, and then the future state. And at first I owned like 65 and he owned 15. After we did the game, it was much more fair. I don't remember exactly what the numbers were. Since then, we've done all different things to kind of navigate this, because ultimately for us, it's not just about the chores. It's about the mental load. It's about our time, right? I wanted more time. I wanted to be able to go to yoga. I wanted to be able to do those things. So we sat down, we had these conversations. I have spent the last 3 years not only changing this dynamic in my home, but I have pretty much dedicated all of my time to learning about the mental load and talking to women and men about their experiences and understanding this, because it is so complex. And I've created a guide. I have a course coming out about this topic to help you have these conversations. But ultimately, we have to understand all the dynamics at play. Like, how did we get here? How do we articulate what's happening? What is our goal? What are we trying to achieve? And what's our plan to get there? Because I think oftentimes we just have fights about the dishwasher, and those fights don't lead anywhere. They just don't, because it's never about the dishes. Like, it's never about the dishes. It is about so much more than the dishes. And it is really hard for us to break out of these gender norms when they are so deeply ingrained in who we are and what society tells us to be as men and as women. And so I think it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Unfortunately, like, there is no quick fix to this, but I do think there are tools out there that can help you have these conversations. But ultimately, the key to this conversation, and I will shout this from the rooftops, is you have to have a willing and able partner. If your partner is not willing and able to change and does not want to hear you or ignores you or dismisses you, nothing will change. I can't help you. Nobody really can in that situation. But if you have a willing and able partner, somebody who genuinely wants your marriage to work, wants you to be happy, wants to have a healthy relationship and a well-functioning home, change is possible. It takes a lot of hard work, but it is possible. But you have to have a partner who's willing to do that work.